want to spoil your summer, but September can't come soon enough. The schedule released on Wednesday and the road ahead. It all begins in week 1 with that Thursday night matchup on September 4th. Your full slate coming on September 7th. In with reaction to all that we saw across the 32, Rand Carthon, Bryant, McFadden here. And fellas, let's dive in with our very favorites there in week 1. Mac, you assess the full schedule. What's the one that you cannot wait to see?
Thursday night. I want to get it cracking the first game of the season. But guys, the reason why I'm really hyped about this Thursday night opening night matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles. Number one, two divisional foes that hate each other. Consistently, the hate has been well documented. Number two, we know exactly what we should see from Philly when you look at the well-assembled roster returning, adding a few additions here or there, not to mention playing at home. This will be the first time their home fans can get an opportunity, Rand, to see them on the grass since hoisting the Sticky Lombardi back in February. You know the atmosphere is going to be electric. But let's transition to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't want to wait until late September, October to see Dallas against a divisional foe. I want to see what they're looking like with this new team Thursday night. What George Pickens is going to look like in the huddle with CeeDee Lamb. What is this healthy Dak Prescott going to look like throwing to two wide receiver ones? What is Tyler Booker going to look like against Jalen Carter? These things will be answered on Thursday night, and it makes it even better. It's a divisional matchup.
You still got the GPS coordinates?
I think so.
It's still GPS for you?
Yeah.
George Pickens scores?
George Pickens scores. He's still my dog.
Just George Pickens scoring in
Even though he's not in the Steeler uniform, we still got a good relationship. That's my guy.
Rand, your favorite in week 1?
Well, since B-Mac stole mine, I'll give you that one. And B-Mac and I were kind of on the same wavelength. But I'm going to go with Baltimore versus Buffalo. Out the gate, you have your past two NFL MVPs, and now you're up against each other in week 1. And this could very well be the AFC Championship match that we see later on in the year. So now you have Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen, and this is out of the gate. And think about how long these teams are going to have to prepare for each other. This is going to be a slugfest out the gate, and these are the type of matchups that you want to see very early to see what your team is made of.
It's going to be a great one. You make a great point there, too. Usually it's 4 days of prep for these games that these guys are getting ready for. This is nearly 4 months of prep to focus on one opponent right in front of you, and such a great one there. I know we do not forget Lamar Jackson did not attend NFL honors after word broke that he did not get his MVP. I don't know if he's still salty. I still feel a way about it. Let's talk winners and losers. He did not win that one, but we are winners when we look at these schedules. Your biggest winner, the team that's looking at their schedule saying, man, you win-loss this thing and you find 10+. Who's your winner?
The New England Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at a team that was below average in terms of wins a year ago, right? The turnover, firing Gerard Mayo, bringing in Mike Vrabel, changing the GARMs in terms of the roster. But looking at their schedule, it's set up nicely for the New England Patriots to really surprise a lot of naysayers, right? You look at the first ball game, the Raiders. You get the Raiders at home. Remember how they surprised everyone a year ago, first game in Cincy. Most of the masses felt like that would be not an easy win, but a win for Cincy. Guess what? They gave the Bengals a raccoon eye. They blackened that eye. Of course, everything derailed after that. But when you look at this week 1 matchup, that's a winnable game. And then when you look at the changeover with the Miami Dolphins, that's a winnable game, even though they're playing down in Miami. And then, of course, you get my Pittsburgh Steelers, and right now, there's a lot of question marks concerning that team. So if you're the New England Patriots, along with the roster that you have assembled, along with Mike Vrabel, a guy who I believe is a well-respected coach in terms of being able to do more with less. And like I said, this is a talented roster from top to bottom compared to what they did not have a year ago. I love the makeup for the New England Patriots, especially being able to get that first game at home against a winnable team in the Raiders.
We'll see if there's any familiarity there with the man who made his bones as a Patriot, now leading that franchise forward. Rand, I know you're going with familiarity for your winner, taking us back to a building you know well.
Yeah, I'm going with San Francisco. And you're coming off of a team that dealt with some injuries, lost some key guys at key points of the season, and had to drudge along, if you will. I didn't want to be disrespectful, but drudge along, if you will, with certain guys. And now you're getting a healthy roster. You're retooling this defense. And like B-Mac mentioned, you come out of the gate, you're playing one of your biggest rivals in the division in Seattle, and you're on the road. And so now they're going to be equipped to make a run. And now, again, you go back to what John Lynch has done this offseason, and he's retooling that defense. They lost some guys, but then they're trying to get back dominant up front, which is what the San Francisco defense is known for. And then offensively, you get a healthy George Kittle, you get a healthy Brandon Ayuk, and you got that man in the backfield, CMC, and you get all of these weapons back for Brock Purdy. And I think this offense is going to be built to make a long run this season.
We just saw that schedule. It is one that only possesses 3 teams on it that were playoff teams a year ago. 4 games with 3 opponents that were playoff teams a year ago. One of the easiest schedules we saw released here on Wednesday. Let's talk about our biggest loser, because on the flip side of that ease coin is a whole bunch of difficulty. Rand, I'm coming right back out to you. The team that's looking at the thing saying, this is a steep hill to climb.
Yeah, and I'm looking at 2 teams right here. I'm looking at Cleveland, and I'm looking at the Giants. And here's why. These schedules are very, very tough. The NFL season is very tough. We all know that. B-Mac and I, we both know that. However, we're talking about 2 teams here who have a lot of questions at the most key position on the football field, and that's the quarterback position. And these guys are going to be forced to face a gauntlet schedule. So you're looking at these 2 teams that could very well be picking near the top again next year. I hope not for those guys and their sake. But these 2 teams here have been dealt a tough blow to have 2 of the toughest schedules in this season.
And I'm right there with you, especially with the New York Giants. Keep their schedule up real quick for me. The NFL is all about matchups, and most importantly, the quarterback matchup. That tells a lot in terms of which team is set up nicely to potentially win or lose. You look at the first 4 ball games for the Giants, the quarterback matchup is in favor of the opposing team. I mean, that is a gauntlet, and if you happen to be 0-4 by the time you get to New Orleans, that is going to be the most defining moment for their season, because if you lose to New Orleans, when do you see a win?
I'm doing what you just did. I'm trying to find the games where they're going to have the better quarterback, and let it be any one of the 3. I find it week 5 against the Saints, and I potentially find it week 16 against the Vikings, because that's just an unknown asset right now.
And by that time, with the magic that Kevin O'Connell has been able to do with whoever has been playing quarterback, that matchup might be in favor. The quarterback matchup might be in favor of the Minnesota Vikings. So for a team, like you mentioned, Cleveland and New York, they were bad a year ago. The schedule makers did them no favors at all in assembling their schedule, especially how difficult the start of the season is. So for the fans for Cleveland and New York, you got to have the faith the size of David when he went to slay the giant and Goliath, because this is a tall, daunting task for them to get things rolling in the early month of September.
5.5, the win total for the Giants, according to our friends in the desert. Mac's going to be leaning towards that under. I'm sure we'll have a full win total extravaganza coming up, but we are focused on the schedule. And this is the day that always brings up maybe my favorite offseason stat, because it identifies hope. It recognizes the teams that didn't make it a year ago. Since 1990, 35 years, every year, 4 teams or more that didn't make the playoffs the year prior made it the following. It is the parity in the middle of this league. You have the standard bearers, you have the middle, and you have the bottom. The middle of the league might shift this year, Mac. Where do you see a shift? Give me a team that didn't make the playoffs last year that's going to make it this year.
I'm ready to stir the pot early in May. I talked about this team earlier in terms of being a winner with the schedule. I'm going right back to the water with the New England Patriots. I do believe this is a team that they have the opportunity, guys, to make the playoffs, something that they had no chance of doing a year ago. And here's why. When you look at the coach in Mike Vrabel, it's safe to say, worst case scenario, he is the second best coach in their division. Yes, I'm taking Mike Vrabel over Mike McDonald in Miami in terms of the consistency and being able to do more with less. Secondly, I would say worst case scenario, they have the second best roster in the AFC East. When you look at the additions they've made via free agency and the additions they've made throughout the draft, from top to bottom. On paper, granted, we got to see it play out on the grass, Rand, but right now, as we see it today, it's safe to say they have, worst case scenario, the second best roster, and the number 1 roster would be the Buffalo Bills. That plays a big part, in my opinion, about this team in New England being able to shake up some things and find a way to get into the playoffs. Because if you look at their schedule, Rand, I love the start of their schedule. I mean, they have an opportunity to gain a lot of confidence and gain a lot of morale and build chemistry and rhythm there. And this sets up nicely for their second-year quarterback in Drake May. So that is the one team that I'm looking at right now, guys. They had no shot of making the playoffs a year ago, but this is a team that could easily find themselves playing in mid-January when it's all said and done.
Well, I'll say this, if for nothing else, Mike Vrabel needs to bring B-Mac in the building to give the team a pep talk. It's not as fiery of a speech I've heard come out of that Patriots building in some time. And I agree with you there, you know, B-Mac, just in terms of them adding Mike Vrabel, and then you bring Josh McDaniels in to coordinate his offense with a young quarterback, and you have weapons. So I like that. I like what you're saying, and I would have taken these guys as well for me. But if we're talking about, for me, going from a non-playoff team to a playoff team, I'm going to do what you did. I'm going to go back to the well, and I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. Because, again, for all the aforementioned things that I spoke about just a second ago, you're getting all your healthy playmakers back, and then you still have Kyle Shanahan, and then you add Robert Saleh back to this defense, and we know what he was capable of doing and what he was able to do when he was a defensive coordinator there. So you're getting all your key weapons back, and you're getting younger and fresher on that defense. And I will go out. I'm going to pull a B-Mac here, and I'm going to go out, and I'm going to say that Chris Kaserik is going to have this defense and this front flying on all cylinders up front. And don't be surprised if you see this team as a top 5 teams in terms of sacks and tackles behind the line of scrimmage this year.
See if those two can make the jump forward. Mac, who's catching the ball in New England?
You got Stephon Diggs. You got a lot of guys there.
Who else?
To be determined. We're not worrying about that.
Disrespect to the Miami Dolphins is all I say.
Let the Pat fans have their moment I just gave them.
It is a wonderful
And
day.
I can tell you this much. You talked about Miami. Which defense do you trust more right now?
Anybody that's going out there with Mike Vrabel.
No
I'll say
question.
that to you.
Defense win championships.
You know he had to get one of those in. Rand Carthon, Bryant McFadden, many thanks as always. Gentlemen, here's a look at your key dates upcoming in the NFL. Opening night. Come on now. Thursday, September 4th, a prime-time matchup. The trade deadline always looming in November as contenders try and load up. And those who see their fate in the wall maybe let a few guys go. Playoffs, January 10th. Super Bowl 60. Got a nice ring to it. February 9th.